Hi guys, welcome. Welcome to Ashutosh Coaching Center. Now today we are going to start chapter evolution. Evolution होता क्या है? Evolution biology is the study of history of life forms on the earth and the evolution of life on the earth. Different changes in flora and the fauna around the earth and that coexist along with human beings also from parts evolution. Origin of life. The origin of life is a unique event in the history of universe. Huge cluster of galaxies compares and universe galaxies contain the stars, clouds, and dust and smoke. Big Bang theory attempts to explain the origin of universe. According to their theory, a huge explosion of occurred that forms a different galaxy. In solar system of a Milky Galaxy, Earth has been supposed to be formed about 4.5 billion years ago. There was no atmosphere early Earth and water vapor, methane, carbon dioxide and ammonia released from the molten mass covered by the Earth's surface. UV rays from sun splits the water into the hydrogen and oxygen and life appeared 500 million years after the formation of Earth. Okay, मतलब 500 बिलियन 5.5 बिलियन ईयर्स पहले अर्थ पे लाइफ पॉसिबल नहीं था। बाद में 500 मिलियन के बाद जो है और धरती पर बनना शुरू हो गया था। केवल 500 मिलियन के बाद धरती पर लाइफ बनना शुरू हो गया था। ओके, okay. Now, theories regarding the origin of life on the earth. Some scientists believe that life comes from the other plant. Early Greek thinker thought that the unit of life is called spores transfer and from the other planets. According to the theory, it life becomes out dead and decaying matter like straw mud, and that this theory is called theory of spontaneous origin. Louis Pasteur experiment and proved that life arises from the pre-existing life. Okay, from spontaneous theory of origin of dismentience after that. Operian and the Haldane proposed that the first form of life could have to come from the pre-existing and not living organic molecules like RNA and protein. The formation of life proceeds by the chemical evolution at the time condition of the on the earth where high temperature volcanic eruption and reducing atmospheric content CH4 and the NH3. Miller experiment on the earth. मिलर एक्सपेरिमेंट क्या था? Miller experiment of origin of the life. S.L. Miller in 1953 conducted an experiment to show the origin of life on the earth in the physical environment similar to the condition and the prevail at that time. Miller created a similar condition of temperature and the pressure is laboratory scale, and he created a electric discharge in a flask containing CH4, H2 and NH3 water vapor at 8000 C. He observed the formation of amino acid in flask after 15 days and the electric discharge. Similarly, experiment by the other scientists found the formation of sugar and nitrogen base and the pigments and fats. Analysis and the meteorite content also reveal similar component and reveal that similar processes are occurring elsewhere in the space. I- the experiment evidence about the origin of life is called chemical evolution of life. उसका आया था हमारा experimental representation of Milker experiment. The first non-cellular forms of life could have been 3 billion years back. Okay, and they could have been giant molecules like RNA, protein, and the polysaccharide etc. The cellular forms of life probably single cell originated in water medium, and the theory that first form of egg arose and slowly through the evolutionary force and from the non-living molecules is called biogenesis. Theory of evolution. concept of conventional region liberation and the theory of special creation and has three connotation. All living organisms, species or types were created as such. Second, diversity was always the same since the creation and will be the same in the future also. The earth is about 4000 years old, but during the observation made during a sea voyage in a sail ship called HMS Beagle around the world, the Charles Darwin concluded that the existing the living forms and from share similarities to vary degree, not only among themselves but also with life forms that exist millions of years ago. Many such life forms do not exist anymore. Also, during the different period of the history of Earth, and there had been extinction of different life forms in the Earth. There is a gradual evolution of life forms and those characteristics which enable us to survive better in the natural condition. Climate, food, physical factor, etc. would outbreed other that are less capable to survive under the such natural condition. The other term is fitness. According to Darwin, fitness refers ultimately and the only to the person fitness. So the who are better fitness fit in the environment, live more progeny and other than other, and hence will survive more and selected by nature. Darwin term is natural selection and the implied it as mechanism evolution. Evidence of evolution क्या है? Proof of evidence that evolution of life forms has taken the place. The first हमारा paleolithical evidence. इसमें क्या था? Different and aged rock and sediment contain a fossil of the different life forms. That probably died and during the formation of particular sediment, and the fossil are remain of a hard life of the life forms found in the rocks. And studies showed that different from the varied and over a time and certain life forms are restricted geological lifespan, and hence a new life have arisen at different times of history on earth. Second, homologous organ. Those organ that performs different function but have a origin and structure are called homologous organ. For example, humans, cheetah, bat, whale are similarity in pattern bones of forelimbs. Okay, these forelimbs perform different function in these animals. In these animals, similar structure developed along different direction due to adaptation of different needs. This is called divergent evolution. उसके बाद है एनालॉगस स्ट्रक्चर. दे आर नॉट ओनली एनाटॉमिकल सिमिलर organ but perform similar function. For example, eyes of mammal, octopus or flappers or penguin and dolphins. This is due to the similar habitat that are resulted in the similar adaptive feature in different group of organisms. That of evolution is convergent solution evolution. From above note we can determine the difference between the homologous and structure and analogous structure as here the sake of simplicity we will chosen an HS homologous structure as AS मतलब होता है analogous structure. HS are in the anatomically whereas AS are dissimilar in anatomy. HS does dissimilar function whereas AS do similar function. HS developed in related area whereas AS developed in unrelated area. HS are inherited from a common system but AS not. HS shows similar development but development pattern is not same in AS. HS are similar in structure origin and AS dissimilar in structure and origin. Biochemical evidence similar in proteins and genes performing in a given function among the diverse organisms give hints to the common ancestry. These biochemical similarities point to the same and the shared ancestors as structural similarities among these organisms. Diverse organisms. Now let us the difference between the convergent and the divergent evolution. First, development of the different evolution the function of structure and from a common ancestral form is called divergent evolution, and of and the development of similar adaptive function structure is an unrelated group of organisms is called convergent evolution. Okay, homologous organs show the divergent evolution, but analogous show convergent evolution. Example of divergent evolution as are Darwin's finches and Australian marsupial locomotion in mammals various. Example of convergent are Australian marsupial and the placenta mammal are various aquatic vertebrate and the wings insect birds and bats. Evolution by natural selection इसको क्या कहता है? A case of a natural selection was seen in the England in 1850, that is before the industrialization is prepared and moth and the biston and the betullaria and this mouth had to be life forms and the grey color and the black color carbonaria in early part of 19th century, but before the utilization and only of the grey colored forms of moth are present. The dark forms were rare. Grey colored moths were seen on the tree trunk covered with lichen, and so they were able to escape from the enemies. Later on 1920, due to the development of industries and the post-industrialization and the lichen were killed and the tree trunk looked dark due to the deposition of industrial soot. Birds now were able to spot these moths and feed upon them, and so gray colored moth and were eaten by the bird and dark colored moth escaped from the bird. Then now the coal is replaced by the industrial and the oil and electricity is used. This has reduced the shoot production and the ultimately less deposition of soot on tree trunk. These tree trunk have and now again become grey in color and the consequently grey colored moth have again increased in number. The example clearly showed the action of natural selection. Evolution of anthropogenic action. Resistance of mosquito to pesticide. When DDT was introduced to control the mosquito, it was tremendously successful. Most of the mosquitoes were sensitive to DDT and were therefore killed. In that population of mosquito, in few mosquitoes became resistant to DDT and survived, and they multiplied, and now almost the total population of mosquito became resistant to DDT. Same pattern has been observed in bacteria which are multi-drugs and resistant due to the acid and use of drugs and the medicine. Adaptive radiation क्या होता है? The process of evolution of different species in given geographical area starting from a point and radiating to other area and of geography habitat is called adaptive radiation. Darwin's finches represent one of the best example of adaptive radiation. Australian marsupial and each with different of other from the other evolved or from one ancestral stock and but all within Australian and island and the continent. When more than one adaptive radiation appeared to have occurred to isolated geographical area were representing different habitat, this is called convergent evolution. Example placental mammal and Australian marsupial. बायोलॉजिकल इवोल्यूशन क्या होता है? द नेचुरल सिलेक्टेड फॉर द फिटेस्ट एंड द फिटनेस is based on the characteristics which are inherited, and some organisms are better adapted to survive and in otherwise hostile environment. Fitness is the end of result of ability to adapt and get selected by the nature. Landmark had to be said evolution of the life forms and had to be occurred but driven by use and disuse of organ. He gave the example of giraffe and to evolve their neck by the foraging leaves on tall trees and had to be adapted by the elongation of their neck. Branching descent and the natural selection are the two key of Darwin theory of evolution. Darwin theory of evolution selected was based on the certain observation like first limited natural resources, second overpopulation, and C है हमारा competition of resources, struggle of existence and survival of the fittest. Mechanism of evolution क्या होता है? Mechanism of evolution क्या होता है? Hugo de Vries, based on his work on evening primrose, brought forth the ideas mutation, and mutation is the large difference arising suddenly in the population. Mutations are random and directionless, while Darwin variation are small and direction, directional. Hugo de Vries and believed that mutation caused speciation and hence called sanitation. Single step by large mutation. इसको भी अब याद कर लिया, ज़्यादा बेटर होगा मेरे ख्याल से. नाउ आगे पढ़ते हैं. हार्डी विनबर्ग प्रिंसिपल. In a given population, the frequency of occurrence of allele or gene can be found out, and this frequency remain fixed and even remain the same throughout generation. This fact was represented by the Hardy-Weinberg and principle using the algebraic equation. The principle stated that allele frequency in a population are stable and is constant, and for the generation to generation, from generation to generation, the gene pool remain constant, and this is called genetic equilibrium, and the sum of total of allele frequency is 1. Binomial expansion 5 p plus q squared is equal to p is equal to 1 1. Okay, where p and q are the frequency of allele, and allele is a allele in a population. Frequency of double A individual in a population simply p square, and this is simply started in another ways, that is probability that an allele and with frequency to a p appear and or both on both the chromosome and of diploid individual is simply the product of probabilities, that is p square. The similarly a double A is equal to q square of a double small a capital small a is equal to 2pq, hence p is equal to q is equal to q p square plus 2pq plus q square is equal to 1. When the frequency is measured, the actual when the frequency is measured and the actual value varies, the indicate the extent of evolutionary change of the frequency is in allele and Hardy-Berg equilibrium in a population and resulted due to the evolution. The factor that affect Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium: first, gene migration, gene flow; second, genetic gift, mutation, and genetic recombination. During genetic drift and sometimes change in allele frequency is so different in a sample of population and they become a different species origin. Drifted population become founder, and that effect is called founder effect. Okay, brief account of evolution. About 2,000 million years ago, the first cellular organ forms of life appeared on the earth. Slowly, single organism became multicellular and forms, and by the 500 million years ago, invertebrates were calm and active. Jellyfish evolved in 350 million years ago. Organs started invade water to land. Fish with stout and strong and fins could move on a land or go back to the water. These animals called lobe fin and the evolved into the first amphibian. Later, these amphibians evolved into reptiles and they lay shelled egg, and then reptiles of the different shape and size and dominated on earth. Fish like reptiles and ichthyosaurus, and the land reptiles dinosaurs. The biggest of the Tyrannosaurus. Some of the biggest reptile evolved into the birds, and later some of the mammals. Mammals are viviparous and more intelligent and in sensing, avoiding danger. Origin and evolution of man. 5 million years ago जो था वो ड्रायोपिथेकस आए थे और रामापिथेकस वर existing. There were they were hairy and walked like gorilla and chimpanzee. Ramapithecus were a more man-like. Dryopithecus was more ape-like, and a few fossil of man-like bone have discovered Ethiopia and Tanzania, and these lived hominid and feature lead to the belief that about 3 to 4 million years ago men like primates and walked in eastern Asia, Africa. They are the probably not taller than 4 feet but walked upright. 2 million years Australopithecus probably lived in the Antarctica African grassland, and evidence show they hunted with stone and weapons but essentially ate first. Some of the bones among the bones discovered were different. This creature was called first human like and being, and the hominid and was Homo habilis. The brain capacities were between 650 से लेके 800 cc. They probably did not meet, and the fossil discovered in Java in 1891 revealed the next stage is that is Homo erectus and 1.5 billion years ago. फिर आया Homo erectus had brain 900 cc, and Homo erectus probably ate a meat, and neither man with a brain 1400 size, Netherland brain man with brain size 1400 cc and live in the near east and Asia between 1 lakh to 40,000 years back. They used to hide the protected their body and buried their dead. And the Homo sapiens rose in Africa and moved across the continent and development distinct races. And during Ice Age between the 75,000 to 10,000 years, modern sapien arose. Prehistoric concave art developed about 18,000 years ago. Agriculture came around 10,000 years back, and the human settlement start. So, guys, this chapter has been finished. So, you are a part of journey of need. So, thanks you so much for watching video till the end. And as you can लाइक शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब एज यू कैन शेयर एंड हाउ मच टाइम, जितना हो सके उतना ज़्यादा इसको शेयर करो. बाय बाय, सी यू नेक्स्ट वीडियो.